what is the legacy that you want?
The legacy I want is hanging out with my friends every single day. That's it. It's very simple. If you told me hard money at this time, this is about 11 years ago, I thought of mafia men in New York City with baseball bats that are giving you hard money like loan sharks.
In the quote, he's like, if there's another bird flying around and it's an eagle, it must be another eagle. And I have with me in the studio, the great and powerful Pace Morby. Welcome everyone to the Main Street Business Podcast. Today, I am super excited. We have a Main Street interview, and I have with me in the studio, the great and powerful Pace Morby.
I don't live in Paradise Valley though, guys. I live in Mesa, Arizona, so don't think I'm that powerful.
But you are great.
I'm okay. I'm definitely on the scale. I'm in the okay territory. Super excited to be here. Your guys' studio is phenomenal. Got a great team here. Super impressed by your guys' operation.
Thank you. Pace Morby is the author of Wealth Without Cash, on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
I don't know. I think that you don't wake up when you're 15 years old, say, I'm going to be a Wall Street Journal best-selling author. So like when you hit that milestone, you go, oh my gosh, that's kind of weird.
But did you wake up at 15 being like, I'm going to host a TV show on A&E?
No, I did not do that.
Okay, well, you've done that.
Yeah, I've done that.
Okay. You have how much? 300 million in real estate?
350 million in real estate, yeah.
Okay. That at 15?
I didn't think that. I remember, so I grew up with a contractor father, and my contractor father, Doug is his name, would drive around in his truck, and we would go to job sites. He'd let me pick the gas stations we'd get the snacks from, and just had a great time, growing up that way. And I remember my dad saying something to me when I was about 15 years old. He said, you need to buy real estate because they're never going to make more of it. And the quote is actually, you need to buy land because they're not making more of it. Yeah. And my dad never got into real estate. But somehow, some way that stuck in my mind that all the way through my early 20s, all the way to right before I turned 30, I was like, one day I'm going to get into real estate. One day I'm going to get into real estate. I wanted it. I desired it. I didn't know what that meant, whether it was single family, multifamily, storage facilities. I didn't know what it meant. But
you knew you were destined for it.
I knew that I had a massive hunger to get into it somehow, some way. And as a contractor, I would touch every house. I'm physically touching houses. Then I built crews to touch the houses, and we would improve all these houses. And then I had this lady, actually talk about this in the first chapter of my book. This lady stops me in my tracks, and she says, stop being a contractor. Your business is a slave to my business. Mm-hmm. She was a fix and flipper developer, and I would go and work for her. And she said, stop everything you're doing and get into real estate full time. And I said, but I don't know how. And she says, well, what's stopping you? I go, I don't know where the money comes from.
Yeah.
I had no idea where the money came from. If you told me hard money at this time, this is about 11 years ago, I thought of mafia men in New York City with baseball bats that are giving you hard money like loan sharks.
Yeah.
So it was just limiting beliefs and not having access to proper information that kept me from getting into the business.
Yeah, well, you've really flipped that because you've gone from knowing it yourself, mastering it, and I don't know anyone who teaches it better or has a bigger, more engaged community than you right now.
There's nobody. You
are like out there everywhere, and not just with like a lot of subscribers and followers, and you could find everybody. If you don't know who he is, you can find him on any place you try to consume your media. I think you're really active on YouTube and on your Facebook group too.
Yep.
If people like really want to digest, right?
Yeah.
Is that where you send people?
Yeah, I tell people, I go, look, yes, we have an audience. Yes, we have followers. Yes, we have subscribers.
But your community's engaged.
But I have a community. And I tell people all the time that a Facebook subscriber is not a community. A Facebook group is not even a community. A community is people doing deals together and helping each other actually get deals done. And I'll tell, if we have time for it, I'll tell you how and why I built my community. Yeah. But it was out of spite. Because I felt like the industry, I actually had just walked out of a real estate deal, somebody stabbing me in the back. And what it was is, this is about, I'd say 6-7 years ago, I get a lead in my business. It's a seller up in Denver, like 2 hours outside of Denver. He has a house in Phoenix. Yeah. And he goes, it's a second home. My wife is getting sick, and so we're not able to travel down there as much as we used to. I want to sell it to you. So we strike a price, $200,000. And he says, but I'm not going to sign the contract unless you come and meet me in person. I need somebody physically here in person to meet me because I'm an old school kind of guy.
Okay.
I go, okay, easy. I'll send a mobile notary.
To Denver.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send a mobile notary. I'll find a mobile notary in Denver, and they'll drive over to your house, and then that way you can have somebody in person. He's like, I didn't say a mobile notary.
Real estate contracts don't need to be notarized.
But
I know you're yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out how can somebody get to his house in person to sign this contract, because he didn't want to do it through DocuSign.
Got it. Yeah.
And I go, okay, you don't want me to send a notary? He goes, no, I want to look the man in the eye that I'm selling the property to, because I want to shake your hand. I go, okay, cool. So I'm thinking, where can I go? I'm trying to be a business operator. I'm trying to be efficient and delegate, and I don't need to jump on a plane to go meet with this guy. This is crazy. There's one house.
Yeah.
But it's a good deal.
Okay.
So he says, I'm not going to sign this contract unless somebody, you or one of your partners, signs the contract with me in person. And I go, oh, I can get a JV partner.
There you go. Okay.
I can find somebody in Denver. Well, at the time, 7 years ago, what could I have gone? There's one place, and all it is a big forum of people that are talking about real estate.
Facebook?
Nope. It wasn't Facebook.
Wait, 7 years ago?
7 years ago.
I mean, a RIA, like a real estate investor club?
I can't say their name because it's actually, there's a negative part of the story.
Okay.
And I actually ended up...
We'll protect the guilty here by not telling
I ended up publishing a book with them. So I went to their website.
Got it. Okay.
I went to it was the Bigger Pockets forum.
Yeah.
And I write in the Bigger Pockets forum, hey, here's the situation. I need somebody to JV with me on this joint venture. And basically it was just a bunch of replies of people ridiculing me for asking for help. And I was like, wow, like as somebody newer in real estate, this doesn't really make me feel great. So I just kind of let it go, and I was going to kind of let the real estate deal go. And then all of a sudden I get a call from this guy named Steve. And Steve goes, hey, I saw your post in the forums. I can be your JV partner. I'll drive over to the seller's house and I'll be your partner in this deal and we'll split it 50-50. I'm like, perfect. This is great.
Yeah.
What does Steve do? Steve prints out my forum post.
Yeah.
Prints it out, goes to the seller and says, Pace is just trying to have a fake partner. You should just sell the deal to me and we'll cut Pace out of the deal.
Steve-O, come on.
Steve-O, come on. Exactly.
Dude.
So I'm like, all right, bro.
What a dick move.
Total dick move. So what happened was the seller calls me. Yeah. And the seller tells me this guy, Steve, from the Bigger Pockets forum, goes around and tries to stab me in the back. And the seller says to me, I'm such a man of my word that what Steve did disgusted me, and I thought you just needed to know. And he goes, by the way, I don't care what you do with my house. I don't care if you're going to wholesale it, fix and flip it. I don't care what you're going to do with my house. I told you verbally that I'd sell it to you for $200,000. All you have to do is come and meet me in person. And I'm like, dang it. Now it's Thursday. He told me I had to be there by Friday at 5 p.m. There's no flights. There's nothing. So I go, screw it. I jump in my Prius. I drive 16 hours all the way up to this guy's house. I get there just in time by Friday at like 4 o'clock. And he signs the deal with me. Yeah. I get the deal done. And I'm now driving back 16 hours in my Prius. And out of spite, I felt like I just triumphed over the entire industry because it was like Steve was representing the whole entire industry. I'm like, you rat bastard. Yeah. You tried to stab me in the back. And I just was like, dang. For 16 hours, I took my phone and I was voice memoing myself every idea I had about building a community in real estate that no matter where I am, what I need, if I'm in Hawaii and I have a lead in Boston, I can find somebody in Boston in 5 seconds that can help me take pictures, put a lockbox on, meet with a seller, get a contract signed, find a contractor, find a private money lender. And I put that together. Yeah. And I have the first real estate community in our industry.
Yeah. Well, you really share too, and I've seen you in action at your event, and it is different. I mean, I've been to a lot of real estate events, a lot of masterminds. I've spoke at them. Like yours is different, and your community is different. And even your story there, it's interesting. You were willing to partner with that guy. You weren't even trying to give someone like $1,000. No. Like that was like maybe what, an hour of someone's time that lived in town? Yeah. $1,000 an hour. Like you're like, I will give you half. And he still ripped you off.
Yeah, I ended up making 20 grand on that deal. I did wholesale it. So I got the deal under contract for 200. I sold it to a fix and flipper down here in Phoenix for 220 and I made 20 grand. Steve-O, you would have made $10,000. So I hope you're listening to the Main Street podcast because you'd be hearing the fact that you played yourself, man.
You got played.
You played yourself, Steve-O. You took 10 grand out of your own pocket.
And what was the next deal? How many deals have you done up there since? He could have been your guy, you know?
Exactly. I mean, he
blew the relationship.
He blew the relationship. And so I just said, look, look, if it doesn't exist, I can either complain that it doesn't exist, or I can go and create it. And I can go through all the arduous journey of putting it all together and putting teams together. And now I have a Facebook group. It's a free Facebook group that has 100,000 members in it. We just had 100,000 2 days ago. And so, Steve, thank you. Because there's 100,000 people in this free Facebook group that all get to help each other. Yeah. And then I have a private community of 10,000 students that those 10,000 students go into my free Facebook group and help the people in the free Facebook group with a very a caregiver attitude. I'm just going to care on you guys. I'm going to love on you guys and just give.
I mean, when I was at your event, it was interesting because you're like, hey, and you know all the people's name in the damn room. There's hundreds of people here, you know, and you're like, that deal you did with that person over here, and then you're like 5 minutes later talking about the deal over here. I'm like, wow. Like, first of all, not only is everybody engaged and knowing what's going on, they're all doing deals too.
Yes.
They're not just talking about it. Like, they are like taking action and doing deals. And that is different too. Like, I mean, I think you preach that. Like that, I don't know if you attract that or what.
I think I tracked it because what I did is I started saying, I'll do deals with everybody all over the country. And so you start setting a tone and a culture. And, you know, it's like your company. I walk through and you just gave me a tour of your company. I'm like, man, the culture here is amazing. But why is the culture amazing? Did it just naturally come that way? Or did you have to attract people and then you have to set the tone as the leader?
Yeah.
And so it's hard work.
Yeah.
And it's the invisible items that nobody gets to see that you're doing behind the scenes, and the way you guys have your missions and your core values. That's part of it. But who you are is more important to the culture of the company than your core values and your mission.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like if you took it, look at Apple.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs passed away. Did we all feel a noticeable difference in what Apple represents? Same thing with you. If you were not here at the company, you took a 6-month hiatus, you would come back to a completely different company. The highest thing that you bring, highest value you bring to this company is the culture.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if anybody's trying to scale any business. I mean, that's what we've had to do here. And you've got a very large enterprise now, lots of different companies. I mean, you're in stuff. You're in technology companies, like, right? You're doing not just real estate, but when you're doing it at that scale, like, you need really good people. Like, people build businesses. You know, like, you've got to go build the people. They're going to go build your businesses for you.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like, building a business is not even building a business anymore. It's acquiring high level people.
Exactly.
And if you're not a great leader and you don't, this is interesting. So one of my businesses that we have right now, it's kind of a fledgling business, doesn't have a website, doesn't have whatever, but we have 15 employees in there. It's just getting started. And one of my team goes, Pace, we need you to do a video for the website and the this and that and this and that, because everybody we try to hire goes and Googles us and tries to find out who we are. Like, people research the companies they go work for.
Yeah.
And if you don't have an amazing culture and a tone, and you don't have people talking about how awesome it is to work at your company, you're going to have a hard time attracting top tier talent. And you know how it is. Like, you'll have a position in your company that you're paying that somebody pretty good money, but there's a bottleneck there for whatever reason. And no matter how hard you train, no matter how hard you try, you just can't get that department to scale. But then you replace that person with just another person, and all of a sudden that department blows up 5x. It's a business. It's a people acquiring business is what it is.
It is. And also getting the right people that fit your culture. But it's like I'm like a total believer in A players. Like, I go after A players. I'd rather have 1 A player than 2 B players. And you know what? But also, and this is the thing with culture, people that are good at their job and passionate about it attract other people that are also good at their job and passionate about it. And then even some of the people that are on the fence in your organization level up to where those people are at, because it's kind of like they just assimilate.
They
to
do.
The people around them.
Think about trying to learn.
Way on the negative.
100%. I was, Dave Ramsey. I tease Dave Ramsey all the time with his, like, don't have debt, don't have. Man, all the people I admire have debt. But the thing with Dave Ramsey is he has some really great things that he teaches. And one thing he said is, he says, thoroughbreds don't want to hang out with donkeys. Yeah. And there's this scientific study. They would put thoroughbreds, these just A-player horses, and they'd put a donkey in the arena, and the horse would just go away from that donkey. Yeah. And there's like, we don't want to hang out with that donkey. And so it's like, if you have A players, and then you put a donkey in their midst, the thoroughbreds will want to leave your company. Yeah. They don't want to be there. Because,
but you know what? There's so many dumb business owners that are like, but I can afford 100 donkeys.
That was me 10 years ago.
Right. Hard lesson.
Did you have to learn that too?
I had to learn that too. Yeah. You'd rather have 10 thoroughbreds than 100 donkeys.
Yes, because then they attract, and they're the people that, your vibe attracts your tribe. And so what happens is your thoroughbreds when somebody comes in and tours or does an interview, they come into your office, they can feel the energy of the thoroughbreds and go, this is where I want to be. These people are going to level me up. Think about, I've got Ben, my videographer, to my right, and you've got your team, Tristan, here too. When you're around a great photographer or a great videographer, do you not level up? Always. Same thing with skateboard. Let's say skateboarding. You want to learn how
You
to
got to get on your game.
If you're like, I want to learn how to skateboard, well, get around people that are already doing better tricks than you. And you're magically go, I just landed a trick I've been trying to land for 2 years. Same thing with you and me. You know, we get to chop shop for an hour before we started the podcast. And I'm mentally making notes on how you operate, your culture, this person works here, what you're doing here. And I'm like, okay, how can we align? I just want to hang out with other thoroughbreds.
Yeah. I know, you know, there's a Ray Lewis quote. And there's a Ray Lewis, he's got this motivational speech, which is, I'll have to show you after. And he talks about how eagles, the altitude that eagle flies at, there's no pigeons up there. And if you're an eagle and you're finding pigeons around you, you're not an eagle.
That is right.
And so it's a similar thing with the donkeys and thoroughbreds, eagles and pigeons.
That's such a great quote. Because I see a lot of people hanging out with the pigeons, and then their question to them to me is, man, I don't know why I can't make more money. Now, man, I don't know why my business isn't scaling. And it's like, replace your friends. Like, yeah. But what else should I do? No, replace your friends with higher quality friends. And they think they're eagles, but the reality is you're a freaking pigeon too, dude.
I love it in the quote. He's like, if there's another bird flying around and it's an eagle, it must be another eagle.
Yes.
It's a great quote. So, all right, people's important in scaling the business, getting the right players. I want to talk about kind of like deal making.
Okay.
Because as I've just watched you a little bit, I've read your book, I'm kind of like, man, you are really good at making deals. I've even seen you do like live calls on your social. And it almost seems like these have to be like scripted because it's like, you are like really good.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
On the moment, like in those stuff. So I wanted to give about 3 premises about a deal. This could be a real estate deal, business deal, doesn't matter what it is. But to be successful, particularly in real estate and what you've done, you have to have deal flow.
Most important.
You have to have deal execution, which is knowing the strategies for what's there.
Less important than deal flow, but very important.
You have to have capital.
Yes, some sort of capital, either your own capital or somebody else's capital or leveraging existing capital, correct?
Yeah. So walk me through what you say. Deal flow is the most important.
It is because first and foremost, let's go to photography or videography all day long. You can hold a camera, but it's not until you have something to shoot or maybe a client that is telling you exactly what they want that you actually have the anxiety and the pressure to have to perform. So people can go, I want to do a business deal. I want to do a real estate deal. Okay, well, you can look at Zillow all day long.
Yeah.
But it's not until you have an actual live deal that you have to negotiate and you know what you're going to do with it that you actually learn anything that is important. You don't learn anything important until you're actually working on a live deal.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's like you go to law school.
Yeah.
Did you learn anything in law school?
Absolutely nothing.
Right.
Total waste of money, but you have to do it.
But it's not until you're actually working on a real client, you're like, oh my gosh, why didn't they teach me this in law school?
Yeah. Well, I know. And it's like riding a bike, anything. It's like someone can talk to you till you're blue in the face about how you're supposed to ride a bike. If you don't get on the damn thing, you will never get it.
That is true. That is true. And so you get a lot of people with the bike analogy is that they, after 4 years of looking at the bike, they go, man, why am I not good at riding my bike? Because you've never got on it, dude.
Yeah.
You've just stared at it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that are like, they're listening to this right now. They go, that's me. Guys, it was me too. That's how it was for me in real estate. So it took me 7 years to get my first deal, but it also took me 7 years to get deal flow.
Yeah.
The second I got deal flow, or lead flow is what we should call it, because a deal is not a deal until it's signed.
Got it.
A lead is something for you to work on, talking to the seller. And then, so here's where I got my first deal from in real estate. And we do this also in buying businesses, same exact thing. Direct mail, sending out mail. Surprise, surprise, guys, it works. Send out mail and you say, hey, we're interested in buying your house. Let us know if you want an offer. They call you, you have a conversation. Costs money. Now, do you want to spend money? Direct mail is a great way to go. Maybe pay per click, right? You can pay on Google Ads and you can do some stuff there. What's a great way to do it for free? Well, you can call real estate agents with existing on-market properties that are existing on the market for over 100 days. If they're on the market for 100 days, they got some pain.
Yeah.
Nobody's bought the house. You want really painful situations that you get a really great deal? Call people that have been on the market for 600 days. One of my best deals was a seller that's like, I was on a seller call last night. By the way, those seller calls that you're talking about, they are not scripted. Yeah. Here's what happens. I'm in a Q&A with my students, and they know I love talking to sellers. So they just bring these impossible situations to me.
Yeah.
And they go, hey, will you call my agent for me? They said that the seller's not interested in selling at all. I'm like, they don't even have any motivation. You want me to get on the phone with them? Like, yeah, but I just really like watching you call sellers. I'm like, sure.
I think you can do it, Pace.
And surprisingly, I can. What it is the people, what my students that are new haven't learned, same thing that you've learned in everything you guys are doing, and your IRA company, is that you are asking questions to see if you're even a good fit.
Yeah. And
you look at the pen analogy with what's his name? Jordan Belfort. He's like, sell me this pen.
Yeah.
It's a trick.
Yeah.
The whole entire trick is that you don't even know if this person should be buying the pen in the first place.
Yeah.
So if I have a pen to sell you, I shouldn't be trying to sell the pen. I should be asking you if you even need a pen. Mm-hmm. Right. And so that.
Well, I do now.
Well, now you do. Yeah. So you have to ask these questions. And so you don't get to practice. You don't get good. Raising capital. Yeah. That you only get good at deal execution and raising capital from screwing up a lot of deal flow. So you got to get leads. Yeah. Either you have no money, you go for free leads. You have money, you go for expensive leads. Why would I choose one or the other? Typically, I have an attorney actually that is one of my students. And he goes, I have no time, but I have money. I go, okay, well then you're paying for postcards and you're going to have lead flow coming to you. Other people go, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have no money. Yeah. Great. Then call real estate agents that have existing listings that are on the market for over 100 days and negotiate with them. There's your deal flow. Depend on who you are and what money you have and what you're trying to accomplish. There's 50 other ways you can get a deal, but you start there. You screw things up, intentionally screw things up. Yeah. Say, I gotta make myself sound stupid. I gotta ask stupid questions. I gotta feel dumbfounded on a phone at least 100 times before I can even ask why I haven't done my first deal.
Well, and I just, I invest in real estate myself, and a lot of our clients at Directed IRA, our law firm clients invest in real estate. And we have a lot of full-time real estate investors. And they're always like, how do I find deals? How do I find deals? And I'm at our Self-Directed IRA Summit, I had one of my most successful clients there, has done a lot of deals, highly successful. And he's like, does everyone in your life know that you invest and buy real estate? He's like, guys, I don't look for deals. Deals come to me. Yeah. Everyone in my community knows, and he's talking about his town when he says this guy's in his 60s. He doesn't talk about social, he's probably doesn't even on social media.
Yeah.
But everybody just knows him as the guy that likes to cut deals. That if you got a weird situation on a real estate deal or something's gone wrong, zoning issue, and it's so many funny examples. He's the guy you go to, and he figures it out. Yeah. And he's like, I don't look for them. They come to me. So how many people in your life even know that you do this? A lot of people are like shy about it.
Why do you think I started a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
I was like, wait, if my local sphere of influence knows I'm doing real estate, I'm doing 10 deals a month just from people bringing me deals. What would happen if I wanted to scale nationwide and I used the back of YouTube and Google's algorithm to get everybody to know who the heck I am?
Yeah, because deals come to you now.
Yeah, we bought $100 million in real estate. Or we did $100 million in deals last year. I didn't hold all of them in the portfolio, but we did $100 million in real estate transactions only from social media.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I mean, that's the power of like an audience too.
Yeah.
Like that is...
It's the power of... This is the weirdest thing. So I did more than $100 million last year in transactions, but I did $100 million just from social media last year. Yeah. Okay, so here's the coolest thing about this. If you teach people how to do deals by showing them real addresses and authentic, genuine conversations with sellers that are not scripted, by the way, Matt. I know you think I'm scripted, but I'm not.
Oh, I don't.
I know. I knew you were just joking.
It's not, but it's good enough that you're like, dang.
He's done this. He's done this a couple times. Yeah, I think so. You show people how to do it, and then magically, this is the weirdest thing. Somebody goes, Pace, I watched your. Oh my gosh, check this out. I'll give you a really good example of this. They watch your stuff, they do deals without even telling you, and then they get the deal under contract and they bring it to you and they go, I watched your YouTube channel and I brought you a deal. I go, where'd you learn how to do this? This is a great deal. I go, I watched your YouTube channel. Like I said, you idiot. So I'm at the Breakers Hotel in Palm Beach. I'm sitting with some pretty cool people. Oh, bro. Place, by the way. I'm with Russell Brunson.
We should go to Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, I'd love to. Let's go.
A member. It's a,
Do I have to have a blue button-up shirt, though? That's the question.
You do not, actually.
I have two of them in my...
And you can actually wear shorts.
With a button-up?
The outside.
Tristan, nobody's ever teased him like this on the show, or what's up?
This is the 10th blue button-up shirt I've had to endure today, by the way.
So I'm at the Breakers. I'm with Dean Graziosi, Russell Brunson, Cody Sperber, and Jim Quick, and we're all having dinner. And I take my hat off because I got in trouble for wearing my hat the night before. So I take my hat off. Cody Sperber takes his hat off. And we sit down at this table. And the manager of the entire hotel comes over and says, Mr. Morby, you're welcome to wear your hat in this restaurant. And I go, well, they told me not to take it off yesterday. Now I can wear it. And I'm like, I'm so confused. He goes, my name is Chris. And because of your YouTube channel, I bought 8 rentals last year and I'm quitting my job next week.
That's pretty awesome.
You can wear your hat wherever you want. This literally happened 4 days ago. And Dean Graziosi and Russell Brunson are looking up at this guy like, wow, you did all that from Pace's YouTube channel. He goes, yep, I did that all by watching Pace's YouTube channel. I take notes, I execute. I take notes, I execute. And my question to the guy, his name's Chris, shout out Chris. I go, you did 8 deals last year and you didn't bring one of them to me? So to your point, this old school guy that just everybody knows, I make sure I tell people, like, I want to do deals with you. I'm teaching you this, not to try and sell you something. I'm teaching you this so we can do real estate transactions together. And the better I get at educating, the easier it is for me to get deals. I want my students to not need, I mean, they're doing thousands of deals without me. Right? They're doing deals with each other, all that kind of stuff. But in the 2 areas that I'm really focusing on right now, I get probably, so 40% of my deals come from my own deal flow. 60% of them come from my students. So, but they only come in these 2 areas, but there's 50 other states in the United States. So they're all doing deals with each other all over the place.
Yeah. And I think, I partnered in a lot of real estate deals myself. My partner, Mark, and I, we've done a lot of real estate deals together. And sometimes I could do them myself, but we do them together. I don't know.
Right.
And
it's more fun.
We need it. And a lot of times I bet, like for you, someone like Chris, there's a lot of deals Chris can't do on his own.
Right.
But he can get that lead that can turn into a deal if he's got you, whatever. And I think some people need the capital. We can talk about that. But what I was interested in is because I know you're moving to, you have your Sub2 fund, sub2fund.com?
Sub2fund.com, yeah.
Okay, sub2fund.com. I know you're raising right now, but tell me why you're doing that. Let me just start with there. I got some questions about it.
This is a great question. So I have 1,800 doors in my portfolio now with no investors, all by myself. I have a couple of partners in some of the deals, but the majority of the 1,800 properties I own by myself.
Yeah.
And it's way more fun doing it with other people. Okay, you have somebody to talk about, you have somebody to revel in the fact, oh, you just got a check, oh my gosh, look at the cash flow. And so what I did is I want to open up what I'm doing to everybody else. And what I'm doing is focusing on creative finance deals. So while everybody else right now is running away from investing because they're like, I can't get the capital, I go down to my, I go to Marcus and Millichap, or I go to this equity or this debt partner trying to get a loan, and the loans are 8-9% depending on the deal, and it kills the majority of deals that are out on the market.
Yeah.
Whereas my fund focuses on going direct to seller or going to brokers that understand creative finance, and we're getting sellers to give us terms on the properties. So one of the first properties we bought, 160 unit multifamily deal down in Tucson, Arizona, $20 million purchase price. The seller's carrying the entire note for 9 years. I didn't need a bank.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a better half the interest rate of what I would get anywhere else.
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of those sellers, because we've been negotiating on a property right now for one of our businesses, a commercial building. The seller is interesting. He's like, I don't know what I'm going to do with the money when I sell the property.
Yeah.
But he's got a tenant moving out. This is a commercial building, commercial tenant leaving. We're going to buy it and occupy it for our own business. We're like, okay, we'll buy it on an installment, so we'll let you seller finance it.
There you go.
He loved it for another reason. I was also wondering what I was going to talk to my CPA about my taxes. But he's older. He wanted a stream of income. He didn't want a windfall on it because he didn't know what to do with it. I told him we'd pay him a reasonable rate for the money, the more he'd get in the bank. And he's like, and I'm deferring my tax because it's an installment sell.
So I have this deal I did last year. It was a 43 unit multifamily deal in Texas. And I got the seller to sell a $3 million piece of real estate to me with no money down. I get a lot of no money down deals, 4% interest, and he gave me 50-year terms. 50 years, no balloon. Yeah. And people are like, why would he do that? And I go, it's all about, I talk about this in my book, but I call it finding the bunnies.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about finding the bunnies.
So it's like, where are the bunnies? And people go, well, what are the bunnies? Bunnies are like the emotional reason why somebody will sell a property versus the surface reasons. Yeah. Well, the guy's retiring. okay, but is that really the main motivation? It's like, why are you retiring? Well, I want to spend time with my wife. Well, what does that mean? It means I haven't taken my wife on a vacation in 35 years. My wife is so upset that we've wasted our whole lives, me working all my guts out. That's the emotional reason why someone would sell the house. So I get on the phone. A broker calls me up and he goes, hey, I've got this property in Texas. It's $3 million, 43 units. Seller wants $3 million for it, but I think value of the property is 2.9. And we're getting offers at 2.7, 2.8. And the guy's just like, I'm not going to sell it for anything less than $3 million. So my listing's about to expire because I can't sell the property. Would you give this guy an offer at $3 million? I go, only if he gives me terms. The broker goes, he doesn't want to give you terms. I go, okay, no problem. 2 weeks later, it goes expired because he gets fired.
Yeah. He's not making money now.
Well, I called the broker and I go, hey, now that you've been let go, would you just put me in touch with the seller directly and I'll work out a deal and I'll throw you a referral check of like $10,000. And he's like, okay, great. I call the seller. His name's Mario. I put this on my YouTube channel, by the way. This whole interview with Mario. Yeah. Same exact thing that you're talking about. Mario says, I go, hey, Mario, my name's Pace. I'm an investor. I saw your property. You couldn't sell it on the market. Would you be open? You know, if I could come up to your $3 million, would you be open to giving me terms? He goes, you mean like seller finance? I go, yeah. And he goes, yeah. How fast can you close? And like, your broker didn't even bring this up to you? He goes, nope, he didn't bring it up to me.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of brokers don't understand creative finance, so they lie to you as the investor.
Right, they're not even communicating back. And even if they do, they're doing a terrible job. That's an issue on my deal right now. Actually, by the way, they make it so challenging. So I love working with agents to understand creative finance, but the ones that don't, I just wait for the listing to expire, call the seller directly. So here's how I got that deal. I call Mario and that whole entire thing. He goes, I'll give you seller finance, but I want $3 million. I want $500,000 down. I immediately am like, no. And I want 8% interest and I want a 10-year balloon. I'm like, no, Mario, I'm probably not a good buyer for you, which is a line I use. Yeah.
I'm probably not a good buyer for you. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I go, Mario, I want a 0 down deal. Yeah. That's what I want. I'm going to give you your price. You're going to give me my terms. I want to do a 0 down deal. And he goes, why would I do a 0 down deal? I go, because you're going to get a windfall of cash and you're going to have a taxable event and you're going to have this blah, 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 blah. And he's like, okay, will you fly out here and meet me? I go, sure. Which is better for me.
You didn't call Steve-O to go negotiate this one?
No, I didn't call Steve. Steve, man, you could have made more money, bro. You could have been a partner with me on this deal. So I fly out to Texas. I meet with Mario, and here's the magic that happens on these deals. This is where the bunnies come in.
Yeah. So
I'm there on site, and I look inside of his Escalade, and he's got his little 12-year-old son. And I go, Mario, what, your son doesn't want to, we're sitting here negotiating, walking through the property, and his son's just hanging out in the Escalade waiting for him. And I go, your son doesn't want to get out and follow around. He goes, he hates this property. My son hates this property. And I'm like, there's some bunnies here.
Yeah.
So I go, why? Why does your son hate the property? He goes, let me put it this way. On his 11th birthday, his mom asked him, what do you want for your birthday? And he says, I want my dad to love me as much as he loves the tenants in that building.
Dang, that's got some therapy.
That's got some therapy. The landlord's there. Mario's changing the toilets, installing the fans, doing all the things. He's never around his son. He's missed his son's baseball games, etc., because he's taking care of this asset. And people don't realize that how many landlords and how many business owners. If you think about, you've done a lot of business acquisitions and mergers and stuff like that. Yeah. There's a lot of really poor operators.
Oh, I know. It's a gold mine actually.
It's a gold mine.
As many dumpy properties there are, as many dumpy businesses.
I'm acquiring a business right now for no money down. The guy's just like, I don't know how to manage. They're doing $5 million a year in revenue, and he's like, I don't know how to manage my finances. I don't know. I have never taken a paycheck. I just pay for everything. Anyway, so with Mario, this is how I close the deal. I go, wow. That's really. I'm like, I feel bad for you, man. You're not spending time with him. He goes, yeah. In fact, his 12-year-old birthday was 2 months ago. I'm sorry, his 12-year-old birthday was 6 months ago when he decided to list the property. Mm-hmm. And he asked his mom again, Mom, what do you want for your birthday? Son says, I just want Dad to spend as much time with me as he spends at that property. So it's been a long-term thing that he's been dealing with, right? So I go, Mario, here's what I would suggest. I'm going to solve the greatest problem in your life right now. You're going to give me this property at $3 million, no money down. And I'm going to send you a check for $11,000 a month for the payment on this property based on a 4% interest rate. And for the next 50 years, you're going to receive checks until you pass away. And when you pass away, your son is going to start receiving the checks. And all the way until your son is 62 years old, your son will receive a check every month for $11,000, reminding him how much his dad loved him well past your death.
They just like shake your hand and give you a hug?
He says, where do I sign? Done.
I mean,
so that's deal execution.
That is deal execution.
Right. Deal execution is, how do I get a seller to agree to terms that are really, really in my favor? It's understanding what the hell the seller is doing and having empathy for people and saying, what tool can I bring to the table, understanding the back end of your world. And the challenge with this is that when you're working with a broker, brokers don't have a clue what is going on in their clients' lives. So I'd say 80% of my deals are direct to seller.
Yeah.
The other 20% are from brokers that actually understand how to get the bunnies out of the seller's backyard, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's an example in Pace's book, Finding the Bunnies. Someone was selling a house, having issues. You were able to solve their problem because you realized she had bunnies that she needed to get.
She had literal bunnies.
Literal bunnies that needed to be moved, and you figured out how to get them taken care of.
It was my first deal I ever did.
And it was
the best deal I ever did. I made $25,000 on that deal. The lady had offers at $165. I was told to buy the property at $150. I didn't even know how to comp a property, fill out a contract. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. So I asked her, how could I help you? Is there any other way I can help you? And she says, help me rehome these bunnies if you're not going to buy my house. And I go, no problem. I call my mom. My mom comes up, takes the 3 massive bunnies. They're Flemish. Google this. Tristan, Google this right now, dog.
Flemish bunnies?
Flemish bunnies. Google Flemish bunnies, and you'll see how big a Flemish bunny is. There's the size of a 5-year-old child.
It's like an Easter bunny, no?
Yeah, look at these people holding these, dude. You see these? Bro, there you go.
Wow.
Okay, she had 3 of them. 3 Flemish bunnies. Those are the size of her bunnies. And it was so ironic that the first deal I ever did had such a significantly large problem outside of the house.
Yeah.
And so the lady who forced me into the business, she taught me how to get my deal flow. Her name's Bethany Willis. And I call Bethany and I go, hey, I got this lady. What happened? Here's what happens. I helped this lady rehome these 3 bunnies. It was the first deal I did. I call my mom. My mom takes her 3 Flemish bunnies out of the backyard, and my mom takes them to somebody in her church, and they turn them into rabbit stew. Just kidding. They put them on. They put them on somebody's farm.
That went dark.
Okay. They put them on. My mom put the bunnies on somebody's farm in her church, and Janie, the seller, was just so over the moon. 2 weeks later, Janie calls me, and I'm looking at my phone like, what the heck is Janie calling me for? Right. I had already told her I can't buy your house. Everybody else is offering more than I could offer. And she gets on the phone with me. She says, I want to sell the house to you. I go, Janie, I told you I can't give you $165. She says, I don't care what your price is. Come up to my house. Let's sign a contract. In 15 people before you came to my house and 15 people after you came to my house, nobody asked me how they could help me.
Yeah.
Everybody was all about picking my house apart and telling me my windows suck and my hot water heater was hanging on by a piece of duct tape. So I bought the house for $150. I wholesaled it to Bethany Willis, the lady who taught me about deal flow. She went and flipped it and made, $50,000. I made $25,000 just finding the deal. Yeah. And the amount of work I put into that was 3 hours. And Bethany, the lady who taught me about deal flow, she says, this is the most important lesson in real estate you'll ever learn. And I go, what is it? And she says, it's never about the house. You got this deal because you found her bunnies. Everybody else focused on the house. You went into her backyard and you found her literal bunnies. And she says, if you can find everybody else's bunnies in the future, you'll dominate real estate.
Yeah.
And that's why we win. I go to the seller.
Dominating.
We go into I don't go to the appointments anymore, but we used to go into the living room and the seller would go, do you want to look at my house? I go, no, because it's not about the house. And I would just straight up tell the seller, it's not about your house. I'm not here to see your house. I'm here to understand your situation. Where are you trying to go? How can I help? Same thing with you guys. Some people need an IRA, a self-directed IRA. Some people need a 401k. You guys are asking the questions to figure out what's the way to go and who are you and how does it fit? And if it doesn't fit, you're not pushing them.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. I just want to give you options.
I want to help
you. Yeah, let us help you. So, well, let me ask you about this deal stuff, because now that you have, now you've got the sub-2 fund, you're raising money, but you're taking the same method. You've got massive deal flow now. Okay, because because there's a lot of people raising money out there.
Yeah.
Like you've got a lot of competition out there, people raising money. You've definitely got a lot of competition if you're doing single family homes, multifamily, whatever you're at. There's competition out there.
Yeah, of course.
But what are your advantages? And I'm thinking this in terms of like the sub 2 fund is you have, I don't know how much, there's much comparison in terms of deal flow.
We have a lot more deal flow, which is number one. Okay. We also, I would say the biggest advantage is that we're the only fund that focuses on non-conventional acquisitions, meaning we're going to buy the same assets that everybody else is buying, but we're going to buy them without using a bank, which means, think about this. Back in 2019, 2020, 2021, a lot of syndicators were going out and getting toxic debt. They didn't know it was toxic debt until the interest rates started raising.
Oh, yeah.
And now, what is it? $4.3 trillion in commercial loans are going to go default in the next 32 months.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah, that's opportunity, though.
It's opportunity for guys that are gearing up for that. I will gobble up a lot of those deals, but I will structure them from a seller finance standpoint, or maybe an assumption of some of these loans or whatever it is. We'll creatively structure these deals. But I'm going to sellers and saying, I'm going to bypass the banks. I don't care what the Fed does. I don't care what the rates are. I'm going to work out a deal directly with the seller. And guess what? That's non-toxic debt. It doesn't matter what the economy does. It doesn't matter what the interest rates go up or down. I have fixed quality debt directly from the seller. And so my investors are safe because I have quality debt in my underlying note.
Yeah. So when you're using a lot of seller finance then strategies,
a lot of
primarily. Are you looking at assumption of stuff?
We will do assumptions, but we also are doing subject to deals in multifamily. And a lot of people in the multifamily space go, that's not possible. Okay, well, come over to my office. I'll show you how it's done. Bring your attorney. You can meet my attorney. We'll show you how it's done properly.
Because there's some existing debt you don't want to pay off. I mean, there's some people that do have good debt that's locked in.
Right.
There's the ones that are floating now that locked in and they bought, and now they're, the world's changed and they can't cover their debt service. But so there is opportunity because there's still people that want to cash out. There's other reasons they need to dispose. You got to find the bunnies in their deal. What's their situation? But there is that amazing interest rate that you're not going to be able to get out there in the market.
I think the advantage is always who can find the deal, right? Who can find the customer? Who can find where the product's coming from, right? And same thing with you guys.
That's a huge strategic advantage.
It's the biggest. And if I have a massive community, for example, like my sub 2 community is 10,000 people strong, they're trained to go find these deals. I have a full-time person just all day long, Bo, on my team that sits there 8 hours a day and underwrites deals all day long for my students who learned how to go find the deals.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
That's it. So it's like,
this is why I say the deals come to you.
Yeah, they come to me. Yeah,
they come to you, and you've got a community out there hunting for it, and they get financial compensation.
Yeah, they get paid. They get paid assignment fees. Yeah,
they get the deals.
We got a deal right now. Lubbock. Bo is actually in Lubbock, Texas. 154 units. $8.6 million. Seller goes, give me $500,000 down. I'll carry the note, 3% interest for 30 years, no balloon. And where'd that come from? Came from one of my students. The student's going to make $150,000 assignment fee bringing me the deal.
Yeah.
I taught them how to find them. I taught them how to negotiate. I gave them examples of thousands of phone calls I've done and put into my vault.
Yeah.
They go through, they learn how to say the things and position and blah, 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 how to find the bunnies, how to do da-da-da-da. And then they bring the deals to me. It's the greatest thing on planet Earth. They get financially compensated so incredibly well, and then we have massive deal flow.
Yeah, love that. Let's talk about capital, though, because even though you're doing deals that are seller financed, subject to, even in the multifamily space, you still need money to execute those deals.
You need money for payroll. You need money for office expenses. You need money for closing costs. You need money for CapEx. You need money for sometimes down payments. I do get a lot of zero down deals, but you still have to, repair the properties and do your value adds and do all that kind of stuff. So
So that's what the fund's raising for.
That's what the fund is raising for, yeah.
Okay. It's essentially those expenses, not necessarily acquisition, paying off their bank and, paying. So that's mostly going into capital expenditure, operations, things like that.
Right.
But you've talked about the golden rule. I heard you talking about that before. Can you talk about the golden rule?
Yeah, you and I grew up religious backgrounds. We remember our mom and dad would always say, do unto others as you'd like others to do to you. That was the golden rule, right? Tristan, did you learn that too when you were growing up? 100%.
Tristan lives that. He's a good dude.
I can tell. Look at his stash, bro. Okay,
He
so
wants it.
what you learn when you get older is that the golden rule definitely is that. But the golden rule is he who controls the gold, okay, He who controls the gold is the king.
Yeah.
Okay. The person who controls the gold, it doesn't even mean I have to have the gold. It just means I have the ability to control the gold. And that's the person that becomes the king. So understanding how to raise private capital and put that private capital to use in a really efficient way is the person that becomes the king.
Yeah.
And the people that invest with you, they're the ones that become the king too. They're like, I get to invest in these types of deals that nobody else has access to, that have quality debt that nobody else has.
Like, what type of deal flow does that person have to do a multifamily deal on their own versus what you the quality of the deal that's going to happen,
right?
And they can invest with you, and go into the fund with you. And you're executing and finding the right strategy of all the little tools you have in your tool belt. You know, I know you got probably a lot I don't even know. And then they can participate in it, invest, because you need the capital, and you've chosen to bring people on to invest with you to help grow this fund.
Yes, and I tell people, look, I'm going to be the largest LP in my fund. I will always be the largest LP. Nobody will out-invest me in my own fund. So I believe in it so much. I tell everybody that invests with us, they go, any cool little special cool things that you do? Like, I have a buddy that sends a pineapple to people when they invest $250,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So we came up with some cool things. Like, if you invest this, we'll send you this and whatever else. It'll be kind of a funny little inside joke thing for all of our investors. But I told people, if you ever invest as much as I invest, you get to become me for a week. Yeah. Meaning you spend a week with me, you meet Tony Robbins, you meet Dean Graziosi, you go do the things that I do. That's how much I believe in our fund, is that I'm our largest LP. I have other buddies that go start funds and they're raising money. They don't have $1 of their own money in their fund.
Yeah.
So I believe in it so much that I'm investing alongside our investors. And
every good fund operator, and there's some that aren't, but every good one does that. You're putting your own chips on the table. You know, you're risking your own capital at the same time, not just your time and, and some little expense. Like, no, your money's on the table.
Your money's on the table. And here's the other thing that I do. I think that's another advantage, is that I'm an LP in about 15 other deals because I have friends that are operators and I just want to support them and invest in them. And I know that I'm going to get a good return. But the thing that I really do for our investors is I go, how can I give you a multifamily education that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Meaning, I'll take you to the property. I'll do meetups at the property. We'll go tour you through the property. More importantly, you can get on a weekly call with our team and go, show me the management of the book. Show me how you guys are finding the new deals. We do this cool thing where I do like a live office hours where you get to watch my acquisition people negotiate live deals. And you're like, man, I get a full on behind the scenes look in what it looks like to have a machine that's just chopping up and bringing in deals to this cool little vortex. So I think, of course, the return is amazing. And with quality seller finance deals, of course, you're going to have a great return. But the coolest thing I think that we bring to the table is people walk away going, man, I took a multifamily mentorship. I went to a seminar. I read all these books about whatever. But the biggest education I got was actually for being an investor with Pace's fund.
Yeah. It's just different.
It's
very, very different. And it's about the application too. You talked about before, it's all about like actually doing it, the deal, being involved. You're going to get access. You're going to know what's going on. You're going to see the cycle of it. And that's another thing too. I think a lot of people, and you've talked about this in your book too, is thinking about legacy as opposed to like what you're going to make tomorrow.
Yeah.
And what are you thinking about though? Like, what's your 10-year plan? Like, what is the legacy that you want?
The legacy I want is hanging out with my friends every single day. That's it. It's very simple. So there was this cool little thing I did when I was in 6th grade. Every Friday, me and my buddies would leave North Ogden Elementary, and we'd walk down from the elementary down to 7-Eleven. And it was like, you're saying movie quotes to each other and lyrics to a rap song that just came out, and you're just chopping up with your buddies, having the best time. There's 5 of us, 4 of my friends. I'm the 5th. We're walking down to Circle K. We buy little penny candies. We buy Ruby Red Squirt. I don't know why this was like so.
I love Ruby Red Squirt.
Oh, where'd it go? I don't. It's because I stopped going to 7-Eleven. They stopped selling it. So we go down there, did this, for half the year, and then one week, my buddies were all in a soccer tournament, so they left the state, and I was by myself. So I was like, oh, cool. More 7-Eleven for me, right? So I go down. I walk down to 7-Eleven all by myself, and that Ruby Red Squirt just did not taste the same.
Didn't hit, man.
It didn't hit. The penny candies didn't taste as good. They cost the same. The amount of time, and the thing is too, the journey was faster. It was faster. There was an advantage to being by myself. I could have done it faster in a lot of ways.
We could riff on this analogy pretty long.
But it was a lot. It was a lot more fun when I had my friends by my side.
Yeah.
And as a social creature myself, I prefer to do things with other people that I enjoy doing them with. And so for me, I'm just like, look, guys, we're buying all this property. Let's do it together.
Yeah.
For me, it's like the 7-Eleven thing. Just wanting to hang out with people I like to hang out with. Like the last big deal I did was 408 units in North Carolina. And I flew my top LPs out. I paid for first class tickets. I put them up in a hotel and I took them to the property for 2 days, took them to comedy clubs. We had sushi, 5 meals in a row with sushi. I was on a sushi kick at the time.
And going to Nobu?
No, I probably would have broke the bank on Nobu. Okay. We were just going to like cool little sushi spots.
I run into Pace at Nobu.
Yeah, that was great. For your birthday.
Yeah, it was my birthday, yeah.
That was, and your wife took you.
Yeah.
That's a good wife.
An amazing wife, yeah.
That's a great wife. So and people are like, why do you do that? I'm like, don't you want to be friends with your LPs? Don't you want to hang out with your investors and like be friends with them? That's why I do what I do.
And there's so many cool people out there, and life isn't this experience and we're going to live it once and like, you don't get to run it back. And if you think of people regrets, they're not talking about, I got to have everything. It is about what the experiences, who they were with. And I think of myself, because I always think of my 10-year plan. I'm like a goal person. I write a 10-year plan, then I go, okay, what if I want this in 10 years? What do I got to be in 5 years? If this is what I'm doing in 5 years, what do I got to do in 1 and 6? But I start with, like I try to set my scene from a visual standpoint of who am I with? Who is around me?
Yeah, baby.
Because that's like what's going to bring me joy and happiness. Yeah. And then I'm like, what are we doing? Mm-hmm. Then I get into all my goals of like, this is the financial goals, this is my health goals, this is my family goals, But
Love it.
If you think about like who you're with, what are you doing? I mean, that's the stuff that just brings joy, like makes you excited every day you get up. And it's why you love what you do.
Yeah.
It's why you're so authentic and what you do. This is like my business here at Directed. That's the same thing in our law firm. It's like, we get to pick the people here.
Yeah, it's
that
cool.
we get to work with. And then
you're excited about coming here.
I work with like my best friends.
Yes.
It's awesome.
So that's the funny thing is like when people make a lot of money and I think when you have a 9-to-5 job, you look at people that are business owners that have made it, quote unquote, made it. And you ask them, man, why are you still working? Like you've made it. You've made it to above where my goals are.
Yeah.
And you're like, all I do all day long is hang out with my friends and do business together. Like, why would I stop?
Yeah.
It's a different mentality.
I remember Gary Vee was being interviewed and someone's like, do you ever not work? Do you not just ever hang out with your friends? He's like, those are my friends. Everybody I work with, like this is all my friends.
Same thing with me, dude. Like it's the freaking best. And so, and the other thing is you give opportunities to people that they didn't otherwise have on their own, which is like, oh, I'm fulfilling my purpose. I went through 10 years of learning something really hard. I did the things people can't do, won't do, and don't do to learn the things that people don't know, that I can turn around and give people the gift of being involved in something they wouldn't otherwise have access to. And then same thing there is I go to my friends like you, new friend of mine, and I go, hey, I need help with X, Y, and Z, and a problem I've been trying to solve for 4 months. You go, oh, I hold on, let's go upstairs to the 7th floor and I'll introduce you to the guy that can solve that problem you've been having for 4 months. All it is a video. This is just a video game, Tristan. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a video game. Who do I got to talk to solve the problem? And you just get to play this fun game all day long.
Yeah. Love that. What's the best advice you've ever received about investing or entrepreneurship? This is the Main Street Business Podcast,
Investing or business. The best advice I've ever received, I'll do a two-parter here. It's never about the horse. It's always about the jockey, because the horse could trip. Something bad could happen to the horse. So don't bet on the horse, bet on the jockey, because the jockey's going to figure it out. The jockey's going to drag that horse across the finish line no matter what's going on. So always bet on the jockey, not the horse. That was great advice for me. Second thing is get better jockeys in your life, which means get better friends.
Yeah.
Find the people, like what you just said, is find the goals that you have and then find out who are the people that you're accomplishing those goals with, and then go seek out and find those friends. Where do you find them? You find them at meetups. You find them at events. You guys have an event coming up this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alt Asset Summit, altassetsummit.com.
What does alt asset mean?
So alternative assets, so, like people use self-directed IRAs. It's one of our big, mantras here. Invest in what you know and what you love. So most people don't love the stock market or mutual funds, yet their IRA or 401k dollars are invested in it.
I don't like them.
Yeah. There's $35 trillion in retirement accounts in the U.S. Like, there's no more money anywhere to be invested in anything than in U.S. retirement accounts. Yet people are all invested in stuff they don't even care about.
Crazy.
They're buying mutual funds. They don't even know what they are.
Why?
And so they're disconnected from their money because
Is it because they haven't been to the Alt Investment Summit?
That's because their eyes have not been opened.
How do they get to that? How do they get, Tristan, how do they get to that?
AltAssetSummit.com.
AltAssetSummit.com.
Yeah. So when we say alt, we're talking real estate. And this could be single family, multifamily, commercial. We'll have venture capital people there, private equity, note investing. I mean, there's going to be a whole slew of different things.
How am I not going to this thing?
I just invited you, but you got something?
I'm committed, unfortunately.
Why don't you keynote the second one?
I'd love to.
Okay,
When's
we'll
that
figure it
happening?
out. I don't know. We'll schedule it.
Next year?
Yeah, we're thinking about doing 2. We've actually had a good response, so we're thinking we might do 2 a year.
I'd love to.
At least
please
one.
let me speak.
Okay, the next one, because I know you're doing a lot of stuff on the business acquisition side, in addition to real estate.
I need your help there.
Yeah, I'd love to help you with all that stuff.
Okay,
That's our
cool.
lane too. So, all right.
This is how it's done. You make friends and you do things together. This is how it's done.
Yeah.
And then you're going to help me buy a couple more businesses. We're going to streamline some stuff,
there.
and then you're going to take me to Nobu.
And then I'll take you to Nobu.
As a celebration.
We'll have a celebration.
Yes.
Yeah. You bring your wife, I'll bring my wife. You know. Yeah, Nobu's a great place. It's like it was an interesting day there. I'll have to tell you after about some other stuff. What happened while I was there? It's probably not great for the podcast. But
Which means it's probably great for the podcast. Guys, if you want us to come back a second time, do you guys put this on YouTube? Put it in the comments, guys. You want him to tell you the nitty gritty. That's what podcasts are for. I want to know all the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I'll tell you after. You'll know why I didn't want to divulge. But thanks so much, Pace, for being on. He is so easy to find. If you Google Pace Morby, if you're not already following him, you should. Anybody interested in real estate, business acquisition, what's other stuff you're teaching right now?
I'm teaching a lot of things. I found that in the process of teaching people real estate, I found that they wanted their wives to learn how to make money too. And so we teach transaction coordination so women can work from home. We teach bookkeeping so women can work from home and have bookkeeping clients. I teach people how to sell money, like do microloans, like covering people's EMD, or do double close transactions, leveraging a bank's money, not your own.
Yeah.
I do all sorts of stuff like that. And then right now, we've been buying businesses for a couple of years, but I haven't been talking about it because I didn't feel comfortable to say I know enough about this. Yeah. But I just launched a new YouTube channel that will be the primary point of it.
Interesting. So you're like mastering your craft before you get it out there.
Yeah, I'm making enough mistakes to know that I'm making a mistake.
Yeah.
Right. And now I'll launch and I'll have you on the channel, and we'll talk a lot about, hey, I'm buying this bit. Like right now I'm buying a business in Florida. And I had my CFO go through the financials, and I'm like, all right, we're ready for contract. And I'm like, you know what would be cool is if I actually went through the process of talking to an attorney, you or somebody else on your team, about what are the pitfalls, what do we like, what do we not like about this business, but actually show that conversation to people openly.
Yeah. I mean, I've helped 100+ clients buy or sell a business.
Think about
small businesses.
the content of that. Like nobody has that on YouTube anywhere.
I know.
A private conversation of Pace deciding to buy a business and why I decided to buy it. And you as the attorney or somebody on your team saying, I don't think you should buy it for these reasons, but I think you should buy it for these reasons. And here's the structure. And then I give away the paperwork. I give away the contracts that might cost me $5,000 to $20,000 to put this deal together. And I just give it away to change people's lives and go, here's a way that you can go out and make money. And instead of going and doing the arduous journey of starting an HVAC company, go buy an HVAC company.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the thing, is there's going to be so much business opportunity out there. Baby boomers own a lot of the small businesses in America, and they're looking to pass them on. And the next generation, their kids, they don't want them.
No.
And some of them are involved in the business, not ready. A lot of them don't even care about it. And these are super profitable businesses. So we see it quite a bit. I mean, it's a lot of our clients here, a lot of our listeners on the Main Street Business Podcast. Like I tell a lot of people in our law firm, like they're like, who are your clients' law firm? I'm like, it's your real estate broker, your dentist you go to, the dry cleaner you go to, the auto repair shop you go to. Those are our clients. Those are our followers. And so we've helped a lot of those clients buy businesses, sell businesses. We've helped clients grow their businesses through acquisition. They're an existing small business owner, and they want to grow, and they can grow through acquisition by buying their competitors. There's a lot of lessons to learn there, frankly, about how to be an operator in your industry.
This is why I'm excited about my second channel because I feel like there's these little dials that people just don't have, these typical operators, they hire their brother down the street that doesn't know anything about bookkeeping to be their CFO.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why you're bottlenecked. This guy, I'm buying his business. He's been in business for 8 years, does $5 million a year, doesn't even have a credit card, doesn't have a line of credit. He's using payday loans to pay his payroll.
Yeah.
And he's got a $230,000 payday loan out that he pays $4,000 a day on in interest.
Yeah.
And he's like, I didn't know any other way. I'm like, maybe get an American Express, maybe get a line of credit. You do $5 million a year in business. You don't think you could have gotten a line of credit somewhere?
Yeah.
So it's these little dials that if you know them, you can go into somebody else's existing business and provide insane value and either A, consult for equity, or B, just come in and leverage what you know to take over the business.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, though. There is so much opportunity in that, because I'm telling you, there is more small businesses out there that are rehab projects that could be a great cash flowing rental, if you will, or operating business, or that could be flipped for profit. But it's needing someone to come in with the right skills to put in the work that can take over situations. That a lot of these businesses, there's lots of reasons why. Sometimes it's just a bad operator. Sometimes there's life, there's divorce, there's death, there's family issues. People got to relocate. They got to move. They can't be. There's so many things.
You know what's funny is it sounds exactly like real estate.
It is.
It's exactly like real estate.
And it's about finding the buddies too.
And you've seen seller finance in real estate and seller finance in
it's more common
business.
In small business.
Right. Because who's the buyer? The buyer is somebody who probably can't get a loan for buying the business. The seller is like, I can't get the multiple I want unless I sell to you on seller finance. So it's like everything I teach in this book and everything I teach on my existing channel, just going to double it down. And I'm going to create a free Facebook group called Zero Down Facebook Group. And it's just talking about how to buy businesses with zero down.
Love it. What's the channel going to be on? It's already on YouTube for the business one?
It's already on YouTube. We have 1,000 subscribers. I've never even posted a video.
Okay.
Just people supporting me all the time. We're posting our first